So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about inches, and then I'm going to talk to you about centimeters here on the other side of the ruler. So you'll notice already that we've talked about how inches are larger numbers, larger lines, and when we look at centimeters, we see on the other side of the ruler that it's much smaller. If we were to compare them, they just look smaller. There's more lines. It also has mm for millimeter at the beginning of the centimeter ruler, and it doesn't have that if you look at the inches. It is just blank like that, okay? And so we see it go into 1, 2, 3, 4, and then when we come over here to the centimeter section, we see that the numbers are much closer together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we can keep going all the way up to 10 and make that comparison between inches and centimeters. So I'm going to show you when I measure this line. I'm going to pull it out a little bit so we can see it. And then I'm going to show you how we're going to measure this in inches. So I'm going to make sure that I'm on that larger part of my ruler, and I'm going to make sure that I put it right down at 0, which on this ruler is right there where the wood stops and the line starts. So I'm going to make sure I line it right up. Measurement has to be really, really perfect. So I'm going to go right here, and then I'm going to go all the way to the end. And if I look, I'm past 1 inch, I'm past 2 inches, I'm past 3 inches, I'm past 4 inches, up to 5 inches and a little bit over. And so we're going to say it's about 5 inches. And when I write that, it looks like this. It's about 5 inches, or I could say 5 inches. Okay, it's a rough estimate. Now, if I also look at this ruler, I see in between, halfway in between, is a longer line, longer than the other lines, and that's my half-inch mark. And so I can also say that something would be half an inch or less than that. If I were to make this in centimeters, I'm going to flip my ruler over to those small numbers again, starting with the mm. I'm going to measure it, and I'm going to make a comparison between how many millimeters, or centimeters rather, this is. The millimeters are the tiny ones, the centimeters are the large ones. So I'm going to go all the way up, and it's almost 13, but it's about 12 and a half centimeters here. So I would write that like this: 12 line and a half centimeters, cm for centimeters. Okay, let me move that over so you can see that. Okay, then if I go down on this line and I measure doing inches first, I'm going to put it right at that line. I'm going to go over, and we're just about 2.5 actually right here. This is halfway between 3 and 2, and so I'm going to write 2.5, 2 and 1 over 2 inches, or 2.5 inches, right? And then I know it's 2 inches. And then I'm going to go back over to my centimeter section, and I'm going to look and put it right at that end of that ruler where it starts. And I'm going to see that it's past 6, but not quite at 6.5. So I'm going to call it 6 for right now, for what we're going to do here in second grade. And I'm going to say 6 centimeters. Now, when I look at centimeters and inches, I notice that because the numbers are closer together for my centimeters here, that it's actually more centimeters than it is inches. There's only 2.5 inches because the numbers are larger and the spaces are larger, but it's 6 centimeters if I were to measure in metric. And we've already talked about that. And then if we look at the classroom, if we look here, it's 12.5 centimeters. Look at how much more centimeters than it is inches, because again, those centimeters are tiny, 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 and those inches are very large. So when something asks you to measure in both, remember that this is the inch, they're really big, inches, and centimeters starts with the mm, and it goes all the way up in little small lines. We also want to make sure that we're right at the end of our ruler when we do this. We don't want to be starting at 1 and starting to measure this. And I'm going to get another ruler right now and show you, because sometimes rulers start and stop at different places than a 1. Sometimes they, like this particular ruler that I'm going to pull out right now, the end of the ruler is not 0. So let me show you what I mean by that. So if I look at the end of this ruler, 0 is right at that end. But if I look at this one, 0 is over. So when I measure, I want to make sure that I put it right on that 0, and then I measure over from there. I don't want to measure like that, because look at all the space that I've already left off. So 0 starts right here on this clear ruler and goes all the way over for 2.5. And this is inches, right? Because if we look, the same thing holds true for this ruler. This is inches because it's big. This is centimeters because it's small.